And welcome in. Happy Friday, Winnipeg High School Hockey League fans, and welcome into another edition of the Scholasticks Podcast. It's episode 9 here on Friday, November 7th. I guess it's our third show in November now since we've already done some shows. I guess second show actually in November since we've already done one earlier this week. As for what's in store for this episode today, we're going to have a guest joining the show, and Tyler Metcalf of the Sturgeon Heights Huskies, head coach there, his team off to a fantastic start this season. We're also going to take you through what's happened around the league from the start of this week up until now, the upcoming games still to come today, and for next week, the stats leaders. We'll show you the standings, as well as updating you on teams who are going to be traveling to different destinations to play in different tournaments this upcoming weekend, as well as filling you in on what's happening in the Miles Mack Buckeyes tournament, which it looked like a very entertaining day one as that tournament started yesterday. But as for the game that we're going to be doing today in the C division, the Price division will be at St. Vital Centennial Arena for a matchup between the Windsor Park Royals, as they'll be hosting the Murdoch McKay squad. As Murdoch McKay starts off with a 4-1 record this season, Windsor Park, they're in an opposite state, still searching for win number one in regular season action so far this year. Be sure to tune in on gshowproductions.uscreen.io, as a portion of the money you spend on this game goes directly back to the league itself, which then in part benefits both of these teams. So we'd really appreciate it if you end up tuning in. And November schedule, full November schedule coming soon here on G Show Productions on our Ustream service, and we'll drop it on our website as well. But as for the Sturgeon Heights Huskies, they're currently the number one team in the league, I guess tied for it with Steinbach, and actually these two teams will be meeting against each other next week. As for head coach of the Sturgeon Heights Huskies, and Tyler Metcalf, he'll be joining the show next. Had a chance to interview him this morning, and he spoke very highly of this year's Husky squad. He's very pleased with what's transpired so far for them to start off the way they have. Not happy with everything, I'd say, as he'd like to see the squad a bit healthier, as they've been dealing with some injuries and getting into penalty trouble here and there. But overall, the head coach pleased with the potential of this year's group, and it was great to have him on this week's show as the only guest to not only talk about the season, but we also touch on the Husky Classic as well, as it was another successful event in the 39th annual edition of that historic tournament. Head coach of the Sturgeon Heights Huskies, the number one seeded Sturgeon Heights Huskies as of today in the Platinum Promotions Division, Tyler Metcalf. Tyler, the team's off to a fantastic start. They made the finals back at your host tournament, the Husky Classic, a few weekends ago now. Of course, losing to Vincent Massey in the finals. But what's the ride been like so far, seeing this team excelling to a 5-0 record in regular season play?
Definitely very excited about this group. They put a lot of effort and time into our preseason prep. Our September was a very busy month, and credit to the guys. There was a lot of buy-in for almost an everyday event, whether it be on the ice or off ice, prepping in the weight room or field workouts. They put a lot of time in. I think that it's no coincidence that they're getting some good results right now. Having said that, there's still a lot of things that they're not happy with, and that we want to get better at. They've just been finding ways to win early in the season, which is fantastic to get the results as well. But more so, the continuing to get a little bit better every day is what we're focusing on right now. And with the Husky Classic, certainly very proud of that tournament, how our school runs it. Thought it was a very successful tournament in all regards, but yeah, that Massey team, very strong team. There'll be some more teams in the season as we get to play more and more of the league that I think are going to be great competitions. So early in the season, it's definitely not getting ahead of ourselves at this point.
Yeah, lots of time left to go here in the 2025-2026 season. But going back to the Husky Classic real quick, like being there, the atmosphere throughout the 4 days was great. Being able to see members from both the male and female side doing the 50-50 and being able to help fundraise for the tournament was great to see. Take me through the Husky Classic in more detail in terms of from an event standpoint, how pleased you were with not only the turnout but seeing your school really well represented.
Yeah, the tournament's a huge team effort. It's obviously a big undertaking when you're organizing a tournament that has 24 teams in it. It's the largest tournament in Winnipeg for high school hockey. The leadership kids that we have at our school were fantastic this year. So it's a great kind of culture thing for our school to get students involved and get experience with running tournaments, interacting with adults and having kind of more responsibility with money, especially, and just taking charge in leading. So from a school standpoint, it's great for kids getting experience. Our staff are absolute rock stars. We had a group of probably, I'd say 8 to 10 really core people that put in easily 50, 60 hours in that 4 day stretch each. They were long days, but by and large, I mean, the teams that showed up were, it just, there's so many quality people out there in our city and in our province. It makes for a great tournament, great competition. My personal favorite thing about this tournament is it kind of gets, you're working out the kinks early in the year where not necessarily impacting you in the standings and gives you the ability to play people in different situations, but you also get to play against different teams. So we get to see teams in the other divisions of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, but then the rural leagues as well, and then the Fort Francis teams and the Drydens and the teams that come in from Ontario. They're always strong and they're always exciting to play against.
Yeah, of course, the Fort Francis female group ended up winning the gold medal on the female side, and that Fort Francis male side was also a team that gave their opponents a lot to deal with throughout that weekend. And yeah, of course, I mean, just looking at the schedule, this Husky team had only played one regular season game heading into that weekend. And like you said, it's a good weekend to play some quality teams from, different divisions, like you said. How huge was that in terms of not only how this team placed in their result, but getting some meaningful games under your belt before the schedule started to get busier for this team early in the year?
It's really valuable. I mean, you're in that forming stage, and then the storming stage usually follows very quickly after, where things don't always click for most teams early on, even though whatever you draw out on paper seems to make sense on the ice. It's a completely different story. So it's good to kind of just work through it, trial and error. And like I said, the tournament, it's structured really well that even if you have a mediocre or a slow start to your round robin, that you end up tiering really well with your semifinals and finals games with the 4 tiers. But yeah, I think our league as a whole, like we're the largest league in Canada for high school hockey. With I think we have 37 teams this year. It fluctuates between high 30s to even 40 some years. The level of competition between the A, the B, and the C divisions, like there's some very good players at all the divisions. So going to that tournament, it's kind of, I think, humbling for the A division teams a lot of the time to see um, how good some of the B division teams are. They might not always have the depth that the other higher ranking teams have per se, but there's still a lot of fantastic players out there in the high school hockey league. The caliber is great. It's exciting to watch, and yeah, it's just a great way to kick off the year. I think for parents to kind of see a bunch of teams all over the city all at once in one great venue.
Yeah, and it was the 39th annual edition of the tournament. And speaking of upsets, like a C division team, and John Taylor ends up defeating Stonewall to get to the D side final, and that was pretty entertaining. Garden City with entertaining games, so many teams with entertaining weekends. A few weekends ago now, back at
Too
the
entertaining. Too
overall.
entertaining. Stressful for the tournament organizers when you have all the ties and tiebreakers and overtimes to deal with. But there's some really fun games to watch. Really fun games.
Yeah, and honestly, I swear because we did the playoffs on the Flynn rink, but like Fort Francis, Vincent Massey on the female side ends up going into overtime and then a shootout, and then we get two straight overtime games afterwards, and then Vincent Massey took care of River East 3-0 to get to the final that night. But moving on to the league play, how this team was able to put together four straight wins, winning in different ways, being able to win in close fashion against St. Paul's and then taking care of Shaftesbury 5-1, and then um, in a 2 day out of, I guess, 2 games out of 3 days, this team able to win back to back against River East, both 2-1. Talk about this team's most recent play, how they've been able to find different ways to win recently.
So I think with this group, the our biggest challenge as a coaching staff is to get the boys to recognize what their skills are, but then also how to put it to best use. So we're really happy and confident in our skill set of our players. I think we have a very skilled team. They're learning how to work hard consistently, but our style of play is something that we've been really focusing on in practice, of good habits, of reducing turnovers, and just how we want to move the puck and not have to do it all ourselves. Because I think a lot of these guys, they have experience being top guys on teams in their younger ages. But when you get put together with other people that kind of match up the same way, you have to learn to work together a little bit more. That's something that I think takes time for sure, and certainly finding lines that click and dealing with injuries that we're dealing with right now. I think we scratched. I was really burning out the ink on my pen there at our game last night. I think we had 5 or 6 players scratched from our lineup. But sometimes getting in the game more and getting everyone out there almost every second shift is a great thing for everybody to get in games, be engaged, and maybe not have time to sit there and hang yourself up on things that didn't go well. You just go back out there and you try to make the correction right away. So they've been all tight games. And like I said, like right now, I think the bottom of the standings of the league, you see teams like St. Paul's and Shaftesbury, and those were all 1 goal games. Like there's a lot of parity in this league. There's not going to be any easy nights. So we expect, especially being at the top of the standings now, you have a way bigger target on yourself always every night from other teams when you're higher seated in the standings. So there's not going to be any easy games this season, that's for sure.
Yeah, and teams gonna be gunning for the Sturgeon Heights Husky team more meaningful when the teams are at the top and you're able to try to take them down, or you do take them down. And of course, this team gonna have a chance to I think do some more growing through this, knowing that they got to bring their A game in every single matchup heading forward, knowing that the competition is going to get stiffer coming up. But from what we've seen this season, a team that's fast, a team that can move the puck really well, a team that is really tough to stop when they can get their cycle going, and a team that offensively has been led by that top line of Jace Anderson, Rylan Murphy, and Captain Easton Therian. Speak about those three specifically, how huge it's been to have them driving the bus so early on.
All very talented players, no doubt. Grade 12s with experience in this league, quality kids. Um, I, I don't think I've felt any more confident in a leadership group with our other co-captain Brady Dow. Like they've just been fantastic of taking charge in the locker room, of including younger guys and leading by example. They're the hardest workers off the ice. Easton and Brady in particular. We have we have regular weekly workouts at the school. They're always the hardest working there. In preseason, they led the way, but they're just down to earth people that I think from grade 10s to even around the school, just seeing them with their peers, they're very good at naturally being inviting to people, which is obviously from a coach's standpoint makes us very happy knowing that we've got people in the locker room when we're not there that we can trust. But that top line has just been like they have the ability to almost score at will when they're dialed in. I think our power plays going to get better and better. We've been working hard at it. Having said that, we didn't even have Jace here for the last two games, and guys stepped up. Like we've got some great young players that I think are just chomping at the bit for opportunities to get more of those high pressure situations in, and they showed very well in the last two games. So we're excited. Yeah, we're excited about the group. I think there's a lot of potential, but like I said, there's a lot of really good teams out there. So potential only goes so far unless you keep putting the work in and you keep getting better.
Yeah, and defensively, like defenseman stepping up, like you said, co-captain and Brady Dow, he has 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points so far. Hudson Hughes as well with 2 goals, and William Hovgard with a goal as well. But on paper, and it seems like from what you've been saying and from what we've seen, there is a lot of potential outside of that top line. Like you said, players stepped up in the absence of Jace Anderson. But um, do you expect, I guess, for the rest of the lineup to start finding the back of the net and contributing more so to offer that top line more secondary support, more scoring by committee?
Yeah, I think we're a well balanced team. I don't view us as a one line team at all, and I think some of our stronger teams that I've coached in the last 10 years definitely were the opposite, where we really relied on one line and the other two lines they were just trying to get out there and kind of be even keel. We don't expect them to score, but we don't want them to get scored on. I'm pretty confident in this group that we can roll three lines. Our D are rock solid. Like we don't have weak links on our back end, and our forwards are young. We've got two or three young guys in there that are um, breaking teeth here in the high school hockey league, but do not look out of place and are getting more and more confident. And their work ethic is going to carry them throughout the season, and they're only going to get stronger as they get older for future years too. But yeah, it's a group that we're really confident with all around. Definitely, and I think we proved it this week where we're not a one line hockey team. Like we're missing the leading scorer in the league, and played some two fantastic games. So we win 2-1. So we're able to play games where we're not having to outscore teams too, and we can play really well defensively. But that's a testament to our goaltending and our defense too. They've been getting better and better.
Yeah, and you speak about those players that are really young, like Hudson Hughes is one of those guys, Liam Lequier, who we've had a chance to watch both of those players in this whole team quite often already this season, and as this whole team, they look like they have a lot of potential coming up this season to do some great things and off to a fantastic start. And you speak about the defensive aspect of the game. The numbers have backed up what you're saying so far for this group as through the 5 regular season games, this team has only allowed 6 goals against. Fisher McDougall has been rock solid in net. I know Connor Fry's had some playing time too back in the Husky Classic, but speak about the defensive aspect of the game. You speak about how complete this team is. Is this one of the better defensive teams that you've coached in the past few years?
We have a very good mixture of skill, toughness. They all skate well. They all have the ability to move the puck well. But I think as a team, what we've been preaching as kind of difference makers for our group to have success in the long run is I label it the fun zone. The offensive zone is your fun zone to be creative, but defensively in the D zone and the neutral zone, we just want to be simple and hard. So we expect our D to make hard passes, make sure pucks get out, even though they probably have the skill set to hinge and go D to D and try to have a puck possession game. I think our team is going to have the most success from really simplifying in the D zone and just getting it into that fun zone and letting our forwards go to work down low, like you said. But also our D have just been, I, I feel like with a couple penalties aside, in the last two games against River East, we could have been in the 40-50 shot range. And I'd say the vast majority, if not half of those at least, would be coming from our D, taking quality shots to the net that are tippable rebound shots. As we preach on a daily basis, the guys are probably sick of hearing it, but passing putts to the net for tips and rebounds as opposed to trying to score from the blue line, which rarely happens, especially against good goaltenders. Or our D are, they've just been really doing a good job of finding holes to get pucks through. Doesn't have to be the hardest shot all the time, but in our zone, simplifying things and just being hard. We'll live with 100 icings a game, but we want the puck out of the dangerous zone and get it into the fun zone as easily and quickly and low risk as possible.
Like the old school approach, the simplification of the game. And if your team has the speed, right, you're able to mostly win those puck races. And we've seen this team many times be able to win on the forecheck so far this year. No game today, of course. The game last night or late afternoon yesterday against River East. This team, as mentioned, came away with another 2-1 win and going up against one of the top teams in the league again, coming up on Monday next week against the Steinbach Sabres. Then you get Miles Mack on Wednesday, who they've been off to a pretty solid start as well. Take me through what that preparation is going to be like, I guess, heading into the weekend and starting off the week right off the bat with a top team in Steinbach.
Yeah, well, our preparation is pretty much the same for every single team, to be honest with you, especially at this point when we haven't seen a lot of the teams even one time yet. It's a focus on what we have to do. It'll be nice getting a few guys back into the lineup on Monday that we didn't have this week. That will certainly help our legs, but yeah, just consistently doing the simple things and the game plan that we've set out, not straying from it, so we can limit turnovers. We're going to get a lot of chances as our group. We just are my main focus right now, and getting our team to buy in on is really limiting turnovers that are low risk plays. We want to go to the high reward plays, which are typically the simple choices. The high risk stuff it's flashy and everyone likes the flash, but those are usually 1 out of 10 plays, and the other 9 give the other team an opportunity. So it's really simplifying in those low risk scenarios for our group. But yeah, we expect a very hard game against Steinbach. I know they're always a strong team. They've got such a big group out there, and they're consistently a tough opponent.
And of course, that game goes Monday at Keith Bodley Arena, and then Sturgeon Heights faces off against CJS, and then Belleville and back-to-backs next week. As we can't wait to I believe we're going to have one of those games at least on the schedule, Tyler, and can't wait to see how this Sturgeon Heights Huskies team is able to improve on their record or improve on their play coming up, whether we call your games or not. Best of luck moving forward this season. Thanks so much for joining me here.
Thanks so much. Happy to be here.
Tyler Metcalf, head coach of the Sturgeon Heights Huskies, joining this edition of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League podcast. And as for his Huskies, as mentioned and as talked about, off to a 5-0 start. For a team that, like he said, has missed Jace Anderson in the last few games, but been able to get by. Easton Therian has played a big-time role in the past 2 games, especially in the past win for this team at home against the River East Kodiaks, as we take a look at the scores there. By the way, regular season action for this week in the A division comes to a halt, as they'll be back again in action, resuming league play coming up on Monday, where Sturgeon Heights and Steinbach. That's going to be a big tester. Sturgeon Heights beat them 7-2 back in the Husky Classic in the semifinals to reach the finals of their own tournament, but of course we're a few weekends or weeks removed from then, and regular season way different than tournament play, to be honest with you. As even though it was a great tournament to feel out what your team is like and to see what you're up against with many great teams from the A division playing in that tournament. It still is a tournament, and regular season has just a different feel to it. But as we take a look at Sturgeon Heights, they ended up having themselves two close wins that they're able to edge out their opponent in the River East Kodiaks, and that's huge because River East, that knocks them down to closer to the bottom half of the standings, but I don't think they'll be staying there for long. But as for this Sturgeon Heights Huskies team, just diving into them, I think that the potential is there for this team to stay there and stay near the top of the standings if they're able to continue to play like this. Their defensive play has been really good, along with their offensive play so far. They got the second best goals differential in the league right now, and when you're able to see different players step up while still seeing your best players contribute, that has to give this coaching staff a lot of hope. A team that, of course, Tyler Metcalf spoke very highly about, a team that, of course, is led by some veteran skill. No question about that, as Easton Therian is a grade 12. You take a look at Jay Sanderson and Rylan Murphy, they're also grade 12s. But for the players that are going to be there for the foreseeable future, having this type of success so early on and what the potential could be for this season for Sturgeon Heights is going to be, I think, huge for this program's confidence moving forward. And not only are they getting contributions from the front end, but from the back end as well, as Brady Dow, grade 12, has been lights out. Same with grade 10 in Hudson Hughes, and they're starting to see more guys start to step up and score goals outside of that top line, which is huge because I guess one of my knocks on this team back in episode 8 was that they're a bit top line heavy right now. The more they can get contributions from outside of that top line, the better. But make no question about it, the players that drive the bus on this team are still those top line players, as Easton Therian continues to be pretty consistent this season, and he was big time in that 2-1 win, the most recent one that they had at home against River East yesterday, where Therian ended up having an assist, as well as taking a look at his game log, pot and goal, and he also did the same in that 2-1 victory on Tuesday against River East in their home barn at Gateway Arena. But as for the A division, it picks up again next week, as I'm not sure exactly what we have on the schedule, but we will have at least one of these games on our broadcast schedule next week, which of course that will be releasing tomorrow, as we're finally going to get it out to the general public to let you know what games we are doing for this upcoming month. Of course, as we take a look into the games that we've already done this week, and of course the game that's going to be coming up today in the price division that we have on tap, as it's going to be the Windsor Park Royals taking on the Murdoch McKay team. They don't have an actual team nickname at this point in time anymore, but yeah, we've broadcasted a game from the Price Division already. We had Garden City and Shaftesbury to start off the week, Gabrielle Roy and Stonewall on Wednesday. All of those games are available to watch on gshowproductions.uscreen.io, and this game coming up today, Murdoch and Windsor Park, will be available to watch live as well. We're going to get into more of the divisions coming up after a commercial break. We'll take you through this division, though, to end things off before we go to a commercial break, as I think Sturgeon Heights Steinbach, that's going to be a game which is going to be, well, quite interesting. Steinbach is looking to get revenge from a 7-2 loss they had in the Husky Classic in that semifinal matchup against Sturgeon Heights. Steinbach, a team that has been getting a lot of contributions from different parts of their lineup as well. Kind of a similar team compared to the Sturgeon Heights Huskies. You got to think that defense is going to reign king in this one. Whichever team has more success in their defensive zone is a bit cleaner, is going to, I think, be able to come out with the victory in that one. So we'll see which team is able to bring their best. Vincent Massey's St. Paul's, of course, if we take a look at their standings, once again, where they're at, they finally have a win on the season, which is huge, and that ended up coming against Westwood on Tuesday, but St. Paul's will be, of course, looking to get into the win column again, as they lost to Belleville 3-1 yesterday, as Vincent Massey looking to keep their undefeated record going next week at the Max Bell Center. Oak Park Miles Mac, that should be a really good matchup. Miles Mac, of course, hasn't played really many league games compared to the rest of the teams. It'll be a good tester against Oak Park, which I feel like Oak Park, as mentioned in episode 8, is one of the championship contenders to start things off this season. And then, for Sturgeon Heights, they'll have a chance to go up against CJS at home, as they're going to be at home for almost all of their games except for that Friday matchup against Belleville. Oak Park Rivery should have a lot of speed. Same with Miles Mac Oak Park, as mentioned already. All those games, you can check out the details about them at winnipeghshl.ca. As it should be an exciting week again coming up in the Platinum Promotions division. We're going to send it to a commercial break, and then I'll be back here to talk about the Buckeye Bowl, Miles Max tournament that is running this weekend, and we're also going to be talking about the other two divisions that haven't been talked about yet. You're watching the Scholasticks Podcast, episode 9 here on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. Stick around for more Winnipeg High School Hockey League content coming up after this break.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
It's a bit laggy, I feel like, right now for some reason in the stream, but nonetheless, welcome back to this edition of the Scholasticks Podcast. Was joined by head coach Tyler Metcalf a bit ago now, as went into the A-Division standings right afterwards, broke down Sturgeon Heights some more, and a team which, if they can continue to get more of their pieces around that top line going, that's going to be a tough team to beat. They're playing really good defensive hockey right now, too, and playing simple hockey, and it's working out for them. And their head coach with a lot of confidence in this group in particular. As one last look at the A-Division standings for now, maybe we'll show you another time throughout this podcast. You can check them out at winnipeghshl.ca. As, there's been a lot of tournament play throughout this division so far in terms of teams that have gone out to different places, to different tournaments, to compete against different teams throughout the season so far. I know that Belleville is going to be flying out to BC. CJS is going to be flying out into the Maritimes, and of course Miles Mack has a tournament going on right now. But before we get into all of that, we're going to continue to showcase what's happening around the league right now, and the stats leaders, the schedules, the standings from throughout the different divisions, all that good stuff. Just notice we didn't show you the stats yet from the stats leaders in the Platinum Promotions division, as the captain for Oak Park and David Sadowski. Not only is he recognized as a great leader on his team, but he's leading by example on the ice right now. 13 points in 6 games. That's over 2 points per game. His teammate in Karsten Ross also with, he's at 2 points per game exactly. Marcus Betts, Garden City, by the way, is also going to be going out to play in a tournament. I forget where exactly. We'll get you an update on that coming up. But yeah, Marcus Betts, he had himself one heck of a game against Shaftesbury on Monday, and that performance he had is a big reason why he's near the top of the top 5 in stats leaders so far. Caxmars and John Stone, 10 points each for themselves, and for Vincent Massey, they got pushed a bit more this past week as they won 4-2 against Lord Selkirk, then only won 3-2 against Steinbach. So yeah, the top contenders in this league, and not even the top contender in terms of a team like Lord Selkirk, is starting to give Vincent Massey, a bit more trouble. I know Vincent Massey has been traveling a bit more lately, but it just shows you as the league play continues to pick up, these teams, they're truly all skilled, and it shows you that it seems like we're going to see closer and closer games as this season goes along. But in terms of the goaltending so far, Steinbach's goaltender in Cash Amore has been really solid with a 2-1 record, a .959 save percentage. Fisher McDougall, though, he's been really steady. Hasn't faced a ton of shots per game, as we'll do some quick math. 109 divided by 5, about 21 shots against per game, but he's been very steady on every single shot that he's faced for the most part, except for the 6 that beat him. No one has more wins than him. One of the closest behind him, though, is Noah Barnes for Vincent Massey. As we take a look at the B division, still on top is Louis Riel. Springfield, though, is starting to make a push for the top of the standings. As we can see there, they're now up to 5-1. The only team without a win so far still is the Leo Remillard Renards, and we take a look how this past week of action went in the league to start off November, as Dakota continues to look strong. Louis Riel continues to outscore any issues that they may have. Stonewall with a big-time win over Gabois. They actually went up 4-0 in that matchup before Gabois made it respectable on the scoreboard. And it's a big bounce back, too, from Stonewall, as they lost 9-1 the day before against Springfield. The Springfield, 18 goals for in their past 2 games. Sanford, big win for them, as it's their second of the season. Now they take down one of the top teams to start off this season in the standings in the J.H. Bruns Broncos. Action is going to pick up again in the league coming up next week, as on Monday, Dakota going to be taking on SJR. We see Gabois and Churchill. That should be interesting, as Churchill, they can either bring a dominant game, or they've kind of had their doors blown off of them this season so far. So I want to check. Sometimes I, as you may know, crop too much. I just want to check that. Of course, there are no Friday games today in the league, and there actually are. Look at that. I don't know why I continue to do this, but Yeah, there's 2 Friday games today as SJR takes on Stonewall. Stonewall's looking to keep that good momentum going from Wednesday, and of course for SJR, it's their first game of this week, as they've had quite a bit of time off since last Thursday, over a week since they've last been in action, as they look to get back into the win column. They lost 3-1 to Sanford last week. And as for Gabois, they take on CPET, which for CPET, they're a team that's also been inconsistent to start off this season. But as for next week, we got some rural Manitoba matchups like Stonewall and Sanford taking on each other, all French matchup, and Leo taking on Louis on the Thursday. And CPAT and Louis Riel, also an all-French school matchup. Gabois and JH Bruns are going to finish next week's action off, as there are no Friday games next week in the league. As for the stats leaders, Luca Tetro, man, he continues to just put up points, put up goals, as had like 13 goals last time we checked the stats for him. So far, he's averaging 3.33 points per game, which he had over 100 points last year. Not quite on pace for that this year, but still, like, if he's able to put up 79 to 80 points this year, which he is on pace for, that would be incredible. Toby Hobday, which is the coach's son, has been, not letting that title really affect him at all. I don't think it really affects any kid at this level, but the coach's son being the best player so far for Springfield. Grady McDonald's been pretty darn good too, with 14 points. All of these players putting up insane numbers to start off the year, as that's all averages of over 2 points per game, which if they're able to keep that up, I can't wait to see what the stats leaderboard is going to look like near the end of the season. And by the end of it, Devin Picklick has been a huge bright spot for Churchill so far. He still remains at 2-0. Dakota's Brady Cawson, also with a 2-0 record. Both of those goaltenders have shutouts, and Ben Gagne just wins games for Louis Riel this season, and also has a pretty sweet save percentage to go along with it at .912. We'll go into the C division now, as Lorette moved up to 5-0. As for Lorette, they ended up winning 6-2 over Edward Schreier. This is a team that just continues to roll, a team that, defensively has been the best in the league so far this season, outside of Warren, but Warren's played 2 less games, only 5 goals against, which is only 1 against per game per average. If Warren is able to keep that up, and let's say they throw up a shutout or 2, or they only give up 1 to 2 goals in their next matchups, those defensive numbers look pretty gaudy to start off the year. But Windsor Park, Pinawa, and Lundar are the only 3 teams that haven't won in this division still so far, as of course, the teams that were winless last week have been able to go on a bit of a roll. In terms of Kildonan East, they've now won 2 games in a row and have put up 10 goals in their last 2 games, which is quite an improvement, as they were shut out to start off their season through their first 2 games. But still a lot of action left to be played in the league today. We're, of course, going to have Murdoch McKay and Windsor Park at St. Vital Centennial Arena. Lundar, they've been getting closer to a win, I guess. They go up against a team that, of course, in Edward Schreier, hasn't exactly been the strongest to start off this season, with a 1-3 record, so maybe Lundar is able to will themselves to a first win of the season today. Windsor Park also looking to do the same, but it's going to be tough against a very well-oiled machine right now in Murdoch McKay, which, of course, they've moved up to 4-1 in the standings. And, of course, Warren going all the way to Pinawa to take on the Panthers, as Pinawa started off strong against Kildonan East on the scoreboard, but got outplayed for the most part in that game, and Kildone and East ended up breaking the dam, scoring 6 unanswered in that matchup. So for Pinawa, they got to find another level in their game, especially against a team like Warren that has been really strong at all ends of the ice to start off this season. As for next week in the Price division, as we take a look at the matchups, Murdoch, McKay, and Lorette may end up being the game of the week on the Wednesday there at East End Arena. As once again, as we look at the standings, they're 2 top 3 teams, and taking a look at the end of this week, like for Lorette, that's going to be their first game of the year, so they're going into, not first game of the year, sorry, their first game of that week, and they're going to be going up against Murdoch McKay undefeated, as Murdoch looks to get to 5-1, so they'll both be tied in the standings if Murdoch McKay is able to come out with a win today, which will raise the stakes, I think, a bit more in that one, as next week's Friday slate is going to be busy in the Price division as well. We take a look at the stats leaders. Nothing's changed in the top 5. It's all Niverville still. Carter Ellick is now up to a 3-0 record. He's got 2 shutouts on the season. Mason Clausen, we've shown you, he's got the 2 shutouts, 9.83 save percentage, which is incredible. And yeah, lots of solid numbers from goaltenders throughout those top 5, notably in the top 4 names shown there. Want to check out all the full standings? Be sure to visit winnipeghshl.ca for more details. As now we take you through, well, the 5th annual Buckeye Bowl, as honestly, there's a lot going on in this league, and we were actually kind of asked if we were going to do this tournament, and it just wasn't on our radar. But it is now. I'd love to do this event next year, as there's a bunch of different teams, not just from Winnipeg that are participating, but from different places here in the country, and from outside of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League in general. And it started off yesterday. It's going to be going until tomorrow. All games played at Seven Oaks Arena, and this is how things started off, as we saw Westwood defeating Dakota 5-4, which I think Dakota has to be proud of that. They've been playing really good to start off their season in the B division. They were a A division team last year, but they're one of the stronger teams in the B division this season, and Westwood being one of the weaker teams. I think this is good for Westwood, knowing that they're still at least able to beat B division teams, and great for Dakota, knowing that they're close to the A division, closer than maybe they would have thought at the start of the season. As for Calvin, they got shut out against Mountain, as I believe that's the Mountain Mustangs of the Zone 4 High School Hockey League here in the province of Manitoba. Then we had Pembina and Sanford go up against each other, with Sanford coming away with a 3-1 victory. And then the hosts and Miles Mac doing their thing, A division team this season, beating the team from St. Thomas, as that game was an evening matchup. The tournament resumes action today, as I'm not sure what the schedule is, but it is in the bio actually of the Buckeyes Instagram. MMC Buckeyes Hockey is where you can find their Instagram, and then they have everything available in terms of the stats, the standings, the results of the tournament. As I'm actually going to take a look today. Westwood taking on Pembina Tigers, as Pembina ended up winning 5-2 over Westwood this morning. As for Dakota, they ended up winning 4-3 over the Sanford Sabres, so that's a big time for Dakota to get back into the win column. Miles Mac is actually in action right now against the Mountain Mustangs, 2 1-0 teams going up against each other. Calvin Clippers and the St. Thomas Aquinas Saints are already started up. They start at 12:15 p.m. Still to come today, Westwood, the Warriors, taking on the Sanford Sabres. So Westwood will be back in action, trying to bounce back. And yeah, as for Dakota, they'll take on the Pembina Tigers at 3:30. St. Thomas, Aquinas Saints take on the Mountain Mustangs at 5:15 p.m. And then Miles Mack finishes off with another game today at 5:30 p.m. against the Calvin Clippers. So yeah, excited to see how that tournament shakes out and who ends up taking home the Buckeye Bowl championship tomorrow, as it'll be championship Saturday. Once everything is sorted after round robin play at this year's event. As for CJS, as mentioned them, they're going to be taking part in the Birthplace of Hockey tournament in Windsor, Nova Scotia, as they'll be battling a bunch of different teams. And well, there's a chance that they could play Sunday too. It really depends on how they do on Friday and Saturday. Be sure to check out CHAS Olympians Hockey, as they always have great updates. I love how in-depth they are with the details with their captions and stuff. They'll have updates all weekend long of how this tournament is going. And of course, they're going to be starting it off this afternoon against the North Humberland Nighthawks. I believe I pronounced that right, but CJS, they've been playing a lot of tournament hockey as of late, as they actually just won a tournament, the Neepawa tournament that they ended up taking part in, as they became Neepawa tournament champs. That ended up happening last weekend, actually. So yeah, now they're in Nova Scotia, and this team is, well, getting a lot of time to bond with each other even more. So yeah, it's been a season of great memories created, I feel like, for that group so far, and excited to see how they can use all those reps that they're building up to their advantage moving forward into season play this year. As for College Belleville, they're going to be competing in Coquitlam, British Columbia in the Gold Classic, as they won't be starting their tournament off until Saturday, so not until tomorrow. They're actually going to be playing up until Monday in round robin games. And yeah, playoffs would end up starting, I believe, on Remembrance Day on Tuesday on November 11th. So best of luck to my, I guess, I don't know what I would consider it. I'll just say my former school in College Belleville. Best of luck down in Coquitlam, British Columbia. As for them, of course, they continue, I feel like, to get better and better in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, and they just came away with the win against the St. Paul's Crusaders 3-1 yesterday. As for Garden City, gotta mention them, as they are in Cape Breton is, I believe, how it's pronounced, for a tournament this upcoming weekend for themselves. So they end off this week, a short week for them in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, with a huge comeback win against the Shaftesbury Titans to move them to a positive record of 3-2-1, and then they get to go to Cape Breton to play some different competition and get to explore some neat sites. It's great to see all the teams getting to experience the thrills of the travels of hockey and high school hockey specifically, and being able to, like I said, bond with each other, because yeah, those trips, you may remember the results if you do really well in the tournaments, but really it's about building those lifelong bonds, those bonds that will make you stronger as a team moving forward. We're gonna have updates for you coming up in next week's episode, which will be dropping Friday next week, on how the Buckeye Bowl ends up going, as well as how all three of those teams that we mentioned, CHS, Belleville, and Garden City, end up faring in their tournaments that they're playing in this upcoming weekend. So yeah, if you are new here to Scholastics and this is your first time dropping in, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss that. And we're also going to have more player, well, for the first time, I hope, player interview next week, as well as more coach interviews too for you coming up in episode 10 of Scholastics. As for episode 9, we're going to throw it to a promo screen one last time, and then I'll be back for some final words on this edition of the show. Classic. Forgot to unmute myself for a sec, but welcome back, everybody, to Scholastics, episode 9, pretty much in the books. Want to thank Tyler Metcalf from the Sturgeon Huskies for coming on the show again and being the guest in this week's episode. Special thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning in. Like I mentioned before, we threw it to the promo screen. If you're new here or you've watched a few episodes and haven't yet subscribed, consider doing so and turning on notifications as we come out with new episodes of Scholastics every week. Next week's episode will be episode 10. It'll feature updates of everything we talked about today, as well as previewing the upcoming week once we get to next week and going through the end of how this week ended up going. We'll show you the stats leaders again, all that good stuff, and we may even introduce power rankings for all the divisions so far. Coming up next week, who knows? You'll have to stay tuned for that. Also consider leaving it a like so more people can end up seeing this content here on YouTube and we can spread it to as many people as possible. So yeah, we can get as much attention on, as Tyler Metcalf said, the largest high school hockey league here in Canada, which is pretty crazy. 37 teams in total. It's been awesome to see how competitive things have been so far and how, I was talking on episode 8 this past Monday, I guess, about just how, Vincent Massey, they're the heavy favorite right now in the Platinum Promotions division, and they're going to be a tough team to beat. But even then, like Lord Selkirk, who started off near the bottom of that division, gave them a close game and even led them in that matchup, even though they lost 4-2. And then Steinbach, a team who we consider a championship contender, ends up only losing 3-2 to Vincent Massey. We've seen Garden City come back once again, like we saw this week already. We've seen Kildonan East start to get better and better. Teams that might have started off slow starting to pick it up a bit more. St. Paul's finally into the win column, but still a select few teams that are still searching for that, at this point, illustrious first win. But there's still a lot of season left to go in, well, what is sure to bring more and more excitement as we move along. I can't wait to be there for all of it, or most of it at least, and to, share the great news of this league with you all here on Scholastics on a weekly basis. I've been your host, Graeme the G Show Forsyth. Special thanks to Terrico, Goaltenders, Movement Fitness and Performance Elite Prospects, and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia for sponsoring another edition of the show. Until next week, everybody, for episode 10. We'll see you then. Also, be sure to, once again, like I mentioned, check out Murdoch, McKay, and Windsor Park, the Royals, coming up today, as Windsor Park, one of those few select teams without a win so far, looking to pull off a stunner today at their home barn this year at St. Patel Centennial Arena. Also be sure to check out the other games we've done this week, not on here, but also included is Garden City and Shaftesbury. Until next Friday, everybody, have a great one, and also Happy Remembrance Day in advance, as that's on Tuesday, lest we forget.